Kenya is one of the most prosperous nations in the Eastern Africa region. Kenya's capital and financial markets have registered phenomenal growth and development in all parameters. In line with the ongoing reforms in the sector, the Capital Markets Authority, working jointly with the Nairobi Securities Exchange and the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, jointly embarked on the development of the regulatory framework for the establishment of the Growth Enterprise Market segment for the participation of small and medium enterprises, which was launched in January 2013.
Following the launch of the Vision 2030, which is the economic blueprint for Kenya to transform itself into a middle-income jurisdiction by the year 2030, there was a clear recognition of the critical role that small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as venture companies, are going to play in the growth and development of the economy. The authority worked to develop a new framework for a new listing segment on the Nairobi Securities Exchange that would be attractive and accessible by a broader spectrum of both venture entities as well as small and medium-sized enterprises to be able to access the markets, to access capital at a cheaper rate, as well as to provide diversification in their ownership, to bring in increased capital to support growth, as well as to support them in strengthening their corporate governance and transparency frameworks in order to grow in a much more long-term and consistent manner.
As opposed to other businesses that require huge capital outlay, investing in shares is open to both the large and small investors. In this regard, the Securities Exchange provides the opportunity for small as well as large investors to own shares of listed companies.
As is the case with any listing in any market, some of the key objectives and benefits that are aligned with listing include: 1, significantly improved visibility of the company; 2, access to substantially cheaper capital as compared to bank financing or other traditional financing that has been available to small and medium or mid-cap type companies. It also provides a very clear framework to guide companies on how they need to strengthen and improve their corporate governance frameworks through the introduction of independence on their boards, through the introduction of compliance with international financial reporting standards, as well as the obligations around continuous reporting and disclosure of information to help investors, both existing and potential, to understand the value proposition of their company and channel funds into these entities.
Entry requirements for the Growth Enterprise Market segment are set much lower than other segments of the Nairobi Securities Exchange to attract SMEs. SMEs are able to raise substantial initial and ongoing capital while benefiting from an enhanced profile and liquidity within a regulated environment. To list in the Growth Enterprise Market segment, a company must be registered under the Companies Act. Other requirements are: minimum fully paid up capital of 10 million shillings, issue at least 100,000 shares, free transferability of shares, solvent and with adequate working capital, been in operation for 1 year, have a minimum of 5 directors, 3 of them non-executive. Directors must be of high integrity, have a competent board and management. 1/3 of the directors must have completed the directors' induction program and the rest within 6 months of listing. All issued shares should be immobilized. 15% of shares should be available for trading and held by no less than 25% independent shareholders within 6 months of listing. And nominate an advisor through written contract.
Through access to the markets, it allows for greater transparency in price discovery, as well as opening up a much broader spectrum of potential investors in order to maximize on return at the point of exit, as well as broadening the scope of potential investors who are able to join them in driving forward and growing the business. One of the key parameters that was introduced to support the Growth and Enterprise Market segment was the removal of the existing requirements around having a performance track record by the companies. for a long time and following significant engagement with many stakeholders. It was identified that having a profit history was a very significant challenge for many young started companies who actually need the capital in order to drive growth and drive profitability in the future. The track record issues are also a significant challenge when you're looking at venture entities, for example in the extraction mining industries, who would want to be able to access the markets to tap the capital to grow their exploration activities and therefore in future realize profits. But in order to ensure that there will be sufficient protection of investor interests, the authority has put in place a framework for nominated advisors who are registered corporate finance experts who are responsible for guiding the companies in their journey to become listed, but in addition giving them the critical inputs and support with respect to understanding their corporate governance responsibilities as well as their continuing reporting obligations.
There are tremendous benefits of listing on GEMS. The market segment allows companies to diversify ownership and introduce new investors and management capacity. The segment creates opportunities for the raising of long-term, affordable, risk capital for SMEs, provides SMEs with equity financing opportunities to expand their businesses, equity financing to lower costs, increased information flow that opens avenues for investors to identify and invest in viable SME companies, valuation of companies that leads to wealth creation for stakeholders. The enhanced company profile allows SMEs to expand their operations to the rest of the East African community, maintain high level of disclosure and transparency to secure investor interests. This framework offers a listing opportunity for promising startups, including those involved in mining and infrastructure projects that require a heavy capital outlay. Above all, no track record of profitability is required.
We also feel that you'll have a very critical role in supporting these SME entities to play their critical role in driving economic development as well as driving the wider agenda of regional and Pan-African integration, where we'll start seeing, hopefully Kenyan companies not just being a company operating in one county. They're able to grow to be a national company, then a regional company, Pan-African company, then a global company.
Home Africa is already listed on the Growth Enterprise Market segment and is expected to benefit from listing on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. It is expected that small and medium enterprises will continue to tap into the opportunities accorded to them through listing on GEMS for the overall benefit of the national economy. Capital Markets Authority, promoting capital markets integrity.